All right, golfers, welcome to the channel. My name's Danny Melker. I'm super excited to share this particular topic with you today. Something I see so often is players firing their hips too hard in the golf swing, spinning out too fast. It's causing a whole host of issues with the strike. So today, I just want to clear up any misconceptions with what we're trying to do with the hips and give you a couple of wonderful drills at the end to really help get your sequencing, your timing improved to start hitting flush golf shots. So when we're looking at the hips in the swing, one thing I see so often is just the hips firing far too quickly. We may have been told by a friend or a playing partner, you need to get those hips through, we need to fire those hips. But what I see so often is when players do that is the hips fire so much that it starts to cause a whole host of issues. It's such as a disconnection between the upper and lower body. When the hips are going so fast, this upper body tends to get left behind. That can cause, as you saw there, thin strikes, a whole host of strike issues. It can also affect balance. If we're firing too fast with the hips, our balance can start to go off. It can affect club path issues. So we might start to have a common one is when we fire the hips too hard and leave our arms and upper body up here, is this tends to club more out. So we get this more out in path. We may get some big pulls, some slices. We may have to then correct it late with a late side bend here to try and drop the club back in. Then we start to try and fix it with our hands and really rely on some great timing to fix that. And one of the most common things I'm going to speak about today is how it reduces speed and essentially makes you less efficient. So today I'm going to help you get more speed with more ease, more efficiency, basically effortless power. So what do we actually want to see in terms of sequencing? Well, you'll see the professionals when they're hitting, they'll get the look of this delivery position at position 6 here prior to impact, where the butt of the club is essentially in front of their trail thigh when that club's parallel with the ground, and from here that gap between their arm and their body is non-existent. So then just a wonderful position. This really is where the golf swing starts. Obviously impact's super important and everything we do leading up to that, but this is really what it's all about. We're aiming to get in a good position here, because from there, there's no time to react, right? So that's a super important piece. So understanding where we want to be first of all, and then some ideas to help the timing, the sequencing, the efficiency of actually getting into that position. So what we'll see from the professional and the most efficient swings out there is when we get to the top of the swing, the sequence of the downswing will have the chest. So think of it like a race. You've got the pelvis, chest, lead arm and the club, and they're in a 100-meter race. Now, if the first one out of the blocks we want is the pelvis, so we want the pelvis to start first out of the blocks. Second one out of the blocks is the chest, so then they start to move back the other way. Third out of the blocks, the lead arm, and then finally is the club in terms of that sequencing. So assuming you've got good sequencing there, guys, now I'm going to talk about how we want to decelerate and really get the maximum speed at impact. So a lot of people will get that pelvis firing, those hips firing, and then just keep going. So what we actually want, think of that race, the pelvis is gone. Now the chest almost wants to cheat, so it wants to grab onto the pelvis as it comes out of the blocks and start to propel itself forward. So now the chest is grabbing onto the pelvis to propel itself forward. So the pelvis is slowing down. So that's at this position, the pelvis is slowing down, the chest is speeding up. Now, third out of the blocks was the arms, the lead arm in particular, out of the blocks. Now that's going to grab onto the chest, which is grabbed onto the pelvis, and now this lead arm gets some additional speed and acceleration as a result of that. So that's that pelvis slowing down. The chest then grabs onto the pelvis, speeds the chest up. The lead arm is grabbing onto the chest. That starts to fire super quick. So hands and arms really firing at this stage of the swing. And then finally, the last thing out of the blocks, the golf club grabs onto the lead arm, which is grabbed onto the chest, which is grabbed onto the pelvis to get that maximum speed at the very end. Think of it almost like a whip, like that sort of effect. So that's the deceleration sequence that helps apply maximum efficiency, maximum power into the ball. And so how to get that sequencing in time is what we're going to speak about today. So if you're watching me here, I'll just hit a few and I'll just go through some good sequencing. We're here on the 2nd at Le Golf National in France. So we've got to the top. So that there, just nudging a little 6-iron down there, looks pretty effortless, but it's going pretty quick. And that's just good sequencing. I'll take that one. So what I've done there in particular, and something I've actually been working on myself, is really sort of speeding up the arms. But before I speak about that, most players could certainly benefit from speeding up the hands and arms in the golf swing, which I'll talk about in a second. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how to slow those hips down, because that's probably the most common thing I see. Players just firing and just ripping those hips open in an effort to get more power, but actually it makes you less efficient. So a drill here called the hip spin drill. So if you're a player that really fires those too hard and things get out of sequence, simply take your normal setup. And what we're going to do here is, just for this drill, just put your trail foot back a couple of inches there, and then we're going to swing to the top. And our goal here from the top of the swing is to feel like you keep your belt buckle or your pelvis pointing back 45 degrees out in front of you and to the right as you fire that torso, the chest, the arms, the hands and the golf club out in front of you. So that's really getting you to slow these hips down, start to fire that upper body and start to get things a little bit more in sync. So pegging that right foot back a little bit here from here. Keep that pelvis pointing out in front of you as you fire those arms out in front, a couple of pumps, and you can swing through, just hit some little shots. And it'll feel very strange at first when you do this. For those that have really struggled with fast hips, the timing will be a little bit off, but with anything, just take your time with it. Right foot back, just little shots to the top, pelvis stays pointing out in front, fire that torso, fire the arms, fire the hands, and then just chip it through and almost get a sensation of, I'm not actually going to turn through, I'm going to keep this pointing here until the ball's gone. So it'd almost be that sort of feeling. It's an exaggeration. Now with all these drills, I love to exaggerate. Quickest way to improve the game, if you're super open and spinny with your hips, if you exaggerate being here, then when you actually build it into progressively faster swings, you hopefully find somewhere in the middle. So the quickest way to make change. So that's the hips, guys. If you're struggling with really fast hips, and that's the reason why your timing's off and you're getting into this position with the arms lagging behind and then having to time it and do all sorts of things to make contact, then that's going to be a wonderful one. Now, the final drill. If your hips are good and you're pretty good timing there, you're not firing them too hard, but you're still in this position where you've got a big gap here between your trail arm and your side. This butt of the club, when the shaft's parallel with the ground, is super high and away from your trail thigh, then we need to speed up the hands and the arms. So that is a so common. Players get into the top, and I don't know if it's a misconception or just not quite got the right concept of what we're trying to do, but from here, oftentimes players will leave the arms up as they rotate, and now you get into this position where the hands are very high, this gap's very big, and then they've got to try and find the contact very late. So let's fire these hands and arms. A very simple drill for this is the pump drill. So you may have seen some top tour players doing this kind of drill. So you can swing to the top. You can even take a little split hand drill as you do this, where I've got my hands a grip width apart here, and from there as I work to the top, again I'm going to, for this one, keep my pelvis pretty quiet as I fire the hands and arms down. And that's a bit of work. I'm feeling my left shoulder working to pull this down, my right arm working to push this down, my core stabilizing, my obliques working. This is the kind of feel, the sensation, guys, that you want to speed up those hands and arms. The professionals at this stage of the swing, from here through here, the hands are working the fastest. So it's here. So the hands are working the fastest at that stage of the swing. So a pump drill, you can start, like I say, split hand, get the feels. Oh, take that one, that's floating in quite nicely there. So, and then you could come to your normal grip to the top, fire as a feel, and then hit a shot. and really just start to fire those hands and arms, and you'll start to see that gap. Whew, getting out of breath here, guys. Woohoo! Like that one a bit there. Fire, fire, and then your body and everything will sync up. And everything will start to sync up with much better timing, much more efficiency. Now, normally that wouldn't be as hard work, but I'm talking to you guys, I'm doing some drills. Ooh, that was close. And what you'll see from the front on camera there with this slow-mo that I've just shown as well is at that stage of the swing, my hands in delivery, position 6 here, coming into impact, butt of the clubs in front of my right thigh, shafts parallel with the ground, and from here, bang, everything's in sequence, bang. You can start to get a consistent impact, a very stable impact, stabilize the face better, more compression, a little bit of shaft lean, all that good sizzle, good distance, good consistency. So guys, I hope that helps. So you've got some of the common things that may cause. So the next time people say fire hips, just be very mindful of what that might cause in the swing. And then you've got the ideal deceleration sequence that we're looking for into impact with a drill to help slow down your pelvis and your hips, and a drill to help speed up your hands and arms to get things starting to get more in sequence, which is going to help you be more efficient and get more effortless speed and power. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you've got any questions, please post them below. Let me know how you go with those drills. Let's keep the conversation going. And if you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps get this information, which I think is very important, this particular topic indeed, out to more golfers. So until next time guys, enjoy your golf, and we'll see you again soon.